So I was internationally adopted from Guatemala. Growing up, knowing that I was internationally adopted it's affected me a lot in many, many ways. So I believe in middle school, I think I started to realize that I was adopted and I didn't know like how or where I could really start to learn about my culture and where I come from. I felt like really lost and I was like there's just so much I could like learn about, but I don't know where.
This is the right one.
And I think just this confusion kind of led me to get into like some trouble, such as like me not doing good in school, life, and just having a hard time making friends. I think it was just kind of like there's just so much I didn't really know where to start. Sometimes with like my friends and my family, like I felt like I really didn't fit in. Sometimes it was just like I don't really belong here. Everybody looks so different from me. And it was just like really crazy and weird. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like disassociating, but like being not disassociating at the same time. It's a weird feeling. I was adopted in 2004. 3 years later, in 2007, the government stopped international adoptions from Guatemala and plenty of other countries after that. Stopped their international adoptions with the US. Ever since then, the number of children being adopted just has dropped immensely. In 2020, less than 1,000 kids adopted. But this also had to do with the COVID pandemic still being new, making international interactions just a lot more difficult. So my experience with the adoption process and being adopted has affected me greatly, and I feel like it shaped me into the person that I am today. And I wanted to know what it was like to be a parent who's adopting a child, both domestically and internationally. So I adopted two children. Luckily for this project, I was able to interview two people. One family adopted domestically and the other family adopted internationally. First, I'm gonna interview Todd and Kevin, who adopted their child domestically. So, you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for letting me do this.
Of course. It's our pleasure.
Okay, so let's get right into it. So my first question I have is, when you decided to adopt, um, what made you decide to, uh, adopt domestically instead of internationally?
Uh, so for us, that wasn't an option. There were no countries that would adopt to same-sex couples.
All right. And how long did that process take, the adoption process?
Oh,
It took
was it like nine?
almost a year for
From start to finish.
all the paperwork and all that kind of start to finish.
Yeah.
And then we adopted Tristan. Gosh, a couple weeks after that.
After all the paperwork was completed.
So it could have gone longer, could have gone slower. It just depended on how quickly you move through the process. So, like, for example, when you did a background check, if you went and did that right away, then you could move on to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to do, like,
Home study.
a home study. And so it would depend on how quickly you did set up the home study, where some people were kind of procrastinators and did theirs slower. We did ours at a really quick pace. Like, we were pretty motivated and we did one thing and then got going on the next thing instead of just procrastinating, if you would.
And there were classes you had to take, and we did those quickly as well.
Awesome. How difficult was it?
It was pretty easy. Like,
Yeah.
because you had to do like a intro course where they laid everything out for you, if you will, and kind of gave you a sheet of like, you do this first, then you do this. And so it was pretty easy to follow. It was just more
Time consuming.
time consuming.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like difficult things you had to do.
No.
Okay. So how old was Tristan when you bring him home?
10 months.
10 months.
10 months. What was it like bringing him home?
Well, so Tristan was in Iowa, so a different state. So we had to first adopt him in Iowa, and my family is all from Iowa. So we ended up staying with my family until the adoption was finalized in Iowa, which was it almost 2 weeks, 10 days, right?
Yeah.
10 days. So that was a little nerve wracking because the mom she had up to 96 hours to change her mind. So we were on edge for the first 96 hours, thinking he was going to get taken away from us. Could get taken away from us, yeah. And then we did a couple visits with her because we have an open adoption with her. So we did a couple of visits with her still while we were there. Then it all got finalized. We had one more, like a going away dinner with her there in Iowa. And then we came home, and Kevin's sister was waiting for us at our house when we brought Tristan home. So it was really exciting once we got here, but it was nerve-wracking the first 10 days.
Right.
Not knowing.
The first 4 days.
Well, yeah, the first 4 days. Yeah.
Okay. So my final question is, what advice would you give to parents who are looking to adopt?
Well, things have changed since we did it, because when we first did it, it was more about you'd go to an agency, and then once you're approved, they would have like this book that you would look at, and then you could put your name in for these prospective parents, and the mom would choose from that. But now, the process, from what we've been told, is more of, if you're thinking of adopting, which worked out in our case too, is tell as many people as you can that you're thinking of adopting, because likely you know someone who knows someone who's thinking about giving a child up for adoption. So if you want to adopt domestically, just let everyone you know that you are in the process of adopting. And that is the likelihood that you will get, you'll be matched with someone, a birth mom.
Okay.
Do you have any other advice, Tom?
No, I mean,
Because that's how it worked for us
Yeah.
too. It was, we knew someone who knew someone that was thinking of giving their child up for adoption.
Okay. How old is Tristan now?
11.
Okay. That is all the questions.
Oh, that was easy.
Right? Thank you so much again. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
so around freshman year of high school, I found out that there's a possibility that I might have a biological sister. From what I was able to find, it said that she lived somewhere around Texas. So after I learned that information, I felt like this was a starting point. This is a place where I could start learning about my culture, and I could start learning about everything. So after that, me and my mom would stay up for many nights just like scrolling through like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just so many like social media outlets and other places, just texting people who had a similar name to either my biological mother or my biological sister. And for like 4 years, we were up just scrolling endlessly, just looking for people, texting people. My mom finally got the good idea. I was like, I think it'd be easier if we just got a DNA test. So I got one. I took it. I knew my results already. I thought it would be a good way to connect with some possible cousins, or maybe even my sisters took one, and we could connect through that. Unfortunately, she did not take it. She took the Ancestry DNA test. I took 23andMe, but I was able to connect to a possible cousin of mine, and I talked to them, and they said that there's this Facebook group for adoptees from Guatemala. Thanks to them, I was able to get in this group and put out a message. She gave some just rough details about like, oh, this is where I was born. This is my biological sister's name. This is my biological mom's name. This is my birth date. It's very rough information. And then maybe not even a day later, a girl responded giving back the same information and giving my actual name. I didn't see that message because I don't know how to use Facebook. Many months passed by after I sent out that message. She messaged me right away, but I did not see it. So on September 12th, she gained up the courage to actually call me, but I didn't pick up because her number obviously wasn't registered in my phone, and I just thought it was another scam. So I just let it ring, and after that, I listened to the message, and I was like, oh my god. So I called up my mom. I showed her the message, and we were able to connect through that, and we were able to talk over Zoom with her family. She ended up taking the test, and it did come up that we were siblings. So then, after that, it was confirmed. I had found my biological sister. Fortunately, we were able to fly out to Texas and meet them in person and her family, and it was such a great time. It was amazing, and so I feel like we were definitely able to connect and talk, and just talk about our experiences about being adopted. Fortunately, I'm able to interview them for this part of the interview, so I'm going to talk to them, her parents, and her about international adoption. All right. So the first question I have is, why did you guys choose to internationally adopt?
Okay. So the reason we went that way is because, for one, we just, or for me personally, my heart, I just felt like that they were more in need. And then also, I guess I just felt like our own system. I didn't know if I had a child in my home, and if our government, if it was set up in such a way that they couldn't, the birth parents would be able to come back and get my adopted daughter. So I was concerned about that here in the States, our laws, and also I just felt like that the other countries were more needy.
And why did you choose to adopt from Guatemala?
Because our agency, they showed me a picture of Tori. So we were looking at like Panama, and Kazakhstan, and also Guatemala. But then whenever she, showed us Tori, it was, love at first sight.
That's sweet. How difficult was the adoption process?
So, started February 14th. It took 1 full year. She came home like February, Tori, like the 8th. So I don't know that it was really so difficult. Just a lot of things that you needed to do to check off. But I did feel like that the agency was, I didn't trust them completely. I felt like that there was things that could have been done quicker, faster. They didn't have answers for me, that kind of thing. So that was difficult, like in my heart. But as far as just, getting your, what's that called? Like your home study, pulling your records, since we didn't have anything on our record, and, our home study, just all of that just went, so well. It just was just a matter of time. So difficult in waiting, because you're sending things to this little person that you love, and you want them in your home. So that was difficult with the heart, but it wasn't difficult to get approved.
But I would have a different opinion of that. Like, what was your 1 year to adopt? So if it takes a year to adopt, you're constantly thinking, isn't this child in need? Why does it take this long? Why aren't the steps already in place to expedite this procedure? Or why do we need, and then you, like she said, you have a home study, so you have to have your house evaluated to make sure that this child is going to be safe in a home, and that all of that you got to respect, because truly you could have people just adopting for child labor or something. So that's a great aspect of it, but there's so many steps that it takes a year, and you're going, wait, we wanted this girl the day you showed her to us, and it's a year later and we still don't have her. So I think it's more difficult than it needs to be. If it's a procedure that happens all the time, why does it take so long?
What was it like finally bringing Tori home?
We didn't have enough fruit in the house.
Okay, so Tori, when we were at the hotel, Tori fell in love with Taylor, and even my oldest daughter so much, and so it was that was like so easy. I mean, I was expecting like this to be like difficult for her, but that part was so easy. She just like, like at the hotel, climbed in bed with me and Taylor, and very easy. But when she got on the airplane, she did not like it. She screamed the entire time until she kind of passed out. Then we got her into our Suburban at the airport and put her in the car seat, and boy, did she scream and holler and threw up in the car seat. It was terrible. And so bringing her home, she walked right on inside our house. I think that was her very first day. I think she did like the little flip right off the couch. Maybe even a back flip. I mean, she was so springy and bouncy and all of that, but she never did like the car seat. It took a good long time for her to be like disciplined, like, to be latched in there. She didn't like any of that. Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful. I guess in my heart, I had that whole year of planning and knowing, she was part of our family, that, it was all great. I mean, she didn't sleep really that much either. She bounced around on the bed while Taylor was sleeping. She was so springy. And, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. What do you say, Tom? I mean, it was wonderful. It was just,
Yeah, we finally had to just start weaning her back on the fruit because of the amount of sugar. The girl had energy for 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was definitely active.
All right, and so my final question for you guys is there any advice I would give to parents that are planning on internationally adopting?
To improve the adoption process and all, because like in the beginning you may say, well, okay, I'm not sure if we're gonna introduce her back to Guatemala because this is her home now, and then the next person may say, no, we're gonna raise her, we're gonna buy her Guatemala, we're gonna give her. So I've heard both sides of the story, but I'd love to hear more from the adoptees on what did they think about it? Were they always have a hole in their heart? Were they always longing for something they didn't have? Should you invest getting them more knowledge of where they're from and touching base with their roots sooner versus as like ours is, we like the culture and all, but it's like, okay, and as she gets older, we're going to get her back over there and show it to her. Maybe you have to show it to them sooner. I don't know. It's interesting to see if there's a 80% of adoptees from Guatemala say, I had that hole from forever, or would some of them say, no, I had no issue with it. Be interesting to know that, and then be able to pass that on to people that are helping with the adoption process.
That would be my advice. Number one, make sure that you know the paperwork very well and do not put your trust into anyone. You need to know it, and you need to make sure it was done right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Garrett. I'm referring to the issue that Tori didn't get her citizenship paper. Though she does have her social security card and her voter's registration card just showed up, her new one. So I'm believing all of that is, it's all going to be fine. But that would be my advice. Know your paperwork, know everything better than I did. And then another thing is, like, I've watched Tori, over the last several years, like really yearn to know her culture more. So that would be something else I would tell someone is that you need to expect that this can happen. So be prepared for it. Reach out and get support. See how you can just be better prepared to help her.
All right, that was awesome. Thank you so much. So now I have some questions for Tori. So you were 2 years old when you were adopted, and when your family brought you home, do you remember anything about like your first time being at your home?
I remember nothing. I don't remember anything.
What was like your first like core memory then?
I feel kind of sad about this. For some reason, I can't really remember anything younger than 6. I can remember some memories, just random, maybe things that happened in between the time of me being 2 and like 6. But I can really really remember things from when I was like 6 till like now. The first 6 years or so of my life, I really don't remember, which is, I don't know.
All right. Have you ever felt like out of place, even with your family? Because like personally, I have. I've felt like that.
Yes, I have. It's not really well, whenever I was younger, it was really my skin. I would look at myself and look at my family and think, I am really different. And that was what made me feel out of place. But now I don't feel that way anymore, because it's not our skin color that connects us, it's the love that we have between us. And that is what that's that is my family. Not my skin, not my race, not whether or not I came into this world uh like, I don't know, they are my family now. I feel more secure in that now than I did when I was younger.
That's awesome. Have you ever considered learning more about your culture?
Yes, of course I have. I have I have more recently, within the past maybe 3 or 4 years, I have learned more and read more on Guatemala and their tradition and the traditions of the country, and I find it very interesting.
Yeah, and do you ever plan on visiting Guatemala?
Yes, I do. 100%.
Yeah, me too. I know that it's helped me a lot that, we're able to connect. I was actually able to find you. And I was basically wondering like if it's helped you, find some type of closure.
Finding you has been like the highlight of my entire year. 365 days, and finding you has been the highlight of it. All of that. Because whenever I was younger, like maybe 4 years ago, I knew that I had a brother, but I thought you were in Guatemala. So I felt really sad all the time, because I felt it's kind of almost a form of survivor's guilt for me.
Yeah, it's helped me a lot too, cause like I also knew that I had an older sister. I was like, cause I was very doubtful of it. I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I always felt like you were out there somewhere. So I'm glad that you're real. All right, that is all the questions I have.
Okay.
So thank you so much, everyone. That was perfect. That was great. International adoption numbers have continued to drop after many countries closed due to corruption caused by international adoption and other aspects, and also that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Numbers are at an all-time low, with international adoption rates dropping 72% in 2015, and in 2020 there was only 1,000 children adopted. Recently, there's been a new bill that's been presented by Senator Amy Klobuchar, and it's considered to go up to the state Congress, and it's called the International Adoption Committee Act. So this act will help the Bureau of Foreign Affairs by focusing on coordinating the development, refinement, and implications of the policy and programs of inter-country adoption. If this bill were passed, it would make the adoption process more streamlined, easier for families, and it would help raise the numbers significantly. Again, I think that being adopted is a big part of my story and who I am. I believe it's helped me figure out, just who I am and what I want to do in my life. And doing this project has helped me a lot just come to terms with being adopted, and meeting my biological sister has helped significantly and fill this void that I thought that I had. And so it feels good.
comes and goes in plateaus. 1 month later, I'm a fucking pro. My parents will be proud. Oh, fall asleep on the floor. Forget what happened in the morning. There are notes in your handwriting, but you can't make it out. We are not a proud race. It's not a race at all. We're just trying. I'm only trying to get home. Drunk drivers, drunk drivers. This is not a good thing. I don't mean to rationalize or try and explain it away. It's not okay. Drunk drivers, drunk drivers. It's too late to articulate that empty feeling. We share the same fate as the people you hate. Built yourself up against others' feelings and it left you feeling empty as a car coasting downhill. I have become such a negative person, but it was all just an act. It was all so easily stripped away. But if we learn how to live like this, maybe we could learn how to start again, like a child who's never done wrong, who hasn't taken that first step. We are not a proud race. It's not a race at all. We're just trying. I'm only trying to get home. Drunk drivers, drunk drivers. Put it out of your mind. Impairs the thought. There's no comfort in responsibility. Drunk drivers, drunk drivers. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Killer whales, killer whales. It doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Killer whales, killer whales. Is that voice in your head giving you shit again? But you know he loves you and he doesn't mean to cause you pain. Please listen to him. It's not too late to turn off the engine, get out of the car and start to walk. Drunk drivers, drunk drivers, drunk drivers, drunk drivers. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Killer whales, killer whales. It doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Doesn't have to be like this. Killer whales, killer whales. Ooh, my hands are freezing.